Welcome back to Low Country Spotlight. I'm your host, Margie Pizarro. So glad you could stay with us. Today we have in the studio none other than our resident legal eagle, Mr. Jody McKnight of the McKnight Law Firm. Jody laughed at last, but we're so happy that he is here because he's going to be bringing us a lot of information periodically about what he does and what he's experienced in his practice. And today we're talking about an issue in personal injury dealing with the spine and pre-existing conditions. Now, before y'all turn your dials, this is very interesting, even though it sounds like it's a bunch of legalese. But Jody has a wonderful way of breaking this down in layman's terms. So, Jody, thank you for being with us today.
Sure.
Okay, we're talking about people who have suffered spinal injuries and pre-existing conditions. Tell us a little bit about the information you want to get across.
The typical scenario that we run into is somebody, well, first of all, to have back problems, you don't even need to have an accident.
Oh, wow, okay.
But you may develop, the back, the spine is a degenerative, it's degenerative in nature.
Okay.
Meaning that over time, we have calcium buildup on our vertebra. We have, the spine it has three sections, the cervical, the neck, the thoracic, your mid-back, and your lumbar, your lower back. And in between each of the bones, the vertebra, are these discs. And over time, the vertebra will degenerate, the disc will degenerate. You may develop pain, you may not. It could be a horrible looking presentation and you could be in absolutely no pain. You could look at an MRI. So the picture doesn't necessarily tell the story. So what happens is someone will be asymptomatic, no pain whatsoever, or maybe they had a previous accident or something and got better, and then they'll get into another accident, and an MRI will be taken. Their symptoms are horribly, they're terrible symptoms, high frequency, high intensity that they didn't have prior to the accident, but when you compare the MRI after the accident to the MRI, say, 2 years ago, it may look the same.
Wow.
So people wonder what's going on here. And what we know about the science of the back is if you have a degenerative process going on, which we all do, anybody over age 30, your spine begins to go through this process.
Well, let me stop you right there because that's never occurred to me. You know, I'm 46 years old. I'm well over the age of 30. So basically, because of the natural aging process that the body goes through, there's going to be some degeneration and some loss of mobility. Is that how you would describe it?
Not necessarily even loss of mobility or loss of function as a result of the degenerative process. You can go through life being totally asymptomatic, but if you were to look at your spine on an MRI, you'd see changes.
Right.
And that's just the human condition.
So that means you may not feel anything, asymptomatic. You may not feel anything, but then if you look at a picture, it's like, holy cow, what's going on there?
And then if you get into an accident, you're more susceptible to becoming symptomatic than, say, a 15-year-old with a perfectly flexible, perfect little spine.
Wow.
So the older you are, the older you are, as we age, we tend to become a little less flexible, a little less able to take those hits. But we frequently get into these kind of what we call medical causation issues when we're litigating cases, when somebody says, oh my gosh, I was fine before the wreck, and then you look at all the medicals and there's a gray area there. So we have to deal with that with the doctors, and you have to really understand the science very well. I mean, over the years, I'm on the first name basis with a lot of the orthopedic surgeons in town. We do conferences together, these kind of things. And it's been a long learning process for sure.
Well, that's fascinating because, for example, if you have, say, a 45-year-old who already has, as you said, the degenerative back issues have already begun to manifest themselves. They just don't know about it. You know, they go in, and then they get into an accident and they go look at their MRI, and then maybe they had an MRI prior and it showed, you know, that the spine was misaligned and things of that nature. How do you, I'm assuming what you do, you try to overcome that presumption that your back was already messed up before the accident. Is that basically what you try to do?
Well, it's circumstantial. If somebody was working, if they were not going to the doctor, if they were leading a normal life, then I have to bring in, if we have to try the issue on medical causation, I bring in corroborating witnesses, they testify. It unfortunately can, in some instances, turn into a credibility issue.
Yeah.
Which, and if somebody's being forthright, they haven't been to the doctor, they haven't made those complaints, then the jury, if we have to try the case, they usually understand. They say, yeah, okay. But that's one of the areas that we end up litigating over as to the extent of somebody's damages. Somebody might have a herniation prior to an accident that was at some point symptomatic, and fortunately through God or whatever, it just got better.
Right.
And then they're asymptomatic, they're working, they're with their family, they're doing things, and then boom, it sends them into a whole different realm.
Right.
But yet the MRI still looks the same. And it's just the nature of the human body.
Now, when you say medical causation, for our viewers that don't exactly know what that means, put that in layman's terms for us.
That means when you have an incident and you look to see whether that incident caused either the physical change in the body or a broken bone, of course, is the obvious.
Right.
That's cause, we know that. In other instances, though, you may just have a change in symptoms, but because everything is so microscopic, the nerves that run from the spinal cord through the vertebral bodies to your down to your arms and your legs, for example. That's called a dermatonal pattern.
Wow.
We see a change. We will see all of a sudden a ramped up. All of a sudden you have tingling and numbness in your fingers, but there's no change on the MRI.
Right.
However, when you look closer, you find there's nerve root impingement, and so the doctors have to go in and do foraminectomies, discectomies, various things to resolve the symptoms.
Did you go to medical school?
No. But,
because you have such a wealth of knowledge, and it obviously it has benefited you throughout the course of your practice. How do you know all of this stuff? How do you know all this terminology and these words?
You know, I've been practicing 22 years.
Wow.
And once you start having to dig into these issues, you have to read medical literature.
Yeah.
You have to be able to speak to physicians on their level, using their language. You have to be able to review medical records and things, and that's something that I've developed over the years, fortunately, because that's the only way you can really represent your clients. If you've got to know the science.
Exactly. And you know, we are about out of time. We're going to leave on that note, but I want to say this to you. I have a newfound level of respect, because I know a lot of times my practice is not focused on personal injury, but you have to get with a firm that, again, knows how to talk to doctors and knows how to help figure out the issue of medical causation. And just the way that you laid that out is something that I'm very happy to have heard.
Well, thank you, and it's a pleasure being here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, well listen, we've got more Low Country Spotlight coming up, and we are going to make sure we have all of Jody's information on our Facebook page, on our website, and if you need someone with his level of specialty or expertise, please give him a call. But don't go anywhere, we've got more Low Country Spotlight coming up.